All right. You can't make this shit up. Your host, David Washington and Joel Hawksley. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. It's really interesting today. You can't make this shit up. I couldn't get anything working, so you're lucky we're having a show today at all, David. So it's great to be here. Look, every week that goes by is an opportunity to learn new things, and we have a great new year. I'm glad to be in the same room finally. Kids are back in school. Our new associate lineup has changed. We are welcoming new, and we'll be introducing those new
Associates.
associates to you. Such an exciting time. So, David, what are we talking about? There's got to be something in the repertoire today.
Well, in this particular episode, we will delve into the alleged sex crimes committed by Jeffrey Epstein and prominent names associated like Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, Prince Andrew, and countless others. After Jeffrey Epstein himself in prison in 2019, many conservative voices demanded the names tied to these sex trafficking crimes be exposed. And each time an excuse was given, or the pleas were simply ignored. Fast forward to 2024, and now this is a headline story. The question remains, why? We're going to discuss the greed, the corruption, and the evil that ruled not only our nation, but the world. Let's go. I'm getting Kellen. I'm going to talk to Kellen about
Okay. So
about these notes.
Epstein. Okay, listen. I'm going to avoid that like the plague, but the man didn't kill himself. I'm sorry. Let my conspiracy theory people out there have something, David, because
Sure.
nobody knows if he did or he didn't, and nobody will ever know because how'd the cameras get turned on? Listen, that's not the story. So some of the names that were on this list, we're not surprised. We're not as surprised. This is politics. This is a person that had money, had influence, and had access. And access, whether or not he used that access to convince people to do things that they otherwise wouldn't. This was this is pure evil. What was going on is something that we've had a blind eye to as a nation. That's why it's out of control. We are the number one nation in sex trafficking and sex crimes, and a lot of pornography is produced overseas and consumed here in the United States. What else can you say? This is a topic that you know 80% of our audience is against pornography, and 70% of them are probably involved in some way, shape, or form, even not directly.
Right. And I'm going to take this in another direction because everyone's talking about the list, the Epstein list, and who's on the list, and what happened, and what happened on Epstein's island, and so forth and so on. And the perspective I'm giving to this, like, so what? The man is gone. This should have been investigated and prosecuted a long time ago here in Florida, as a matter of fact. And Epstein was able to cut a deal that allowed him to continue to do what he did with whoever for years. And so, again, the justice system failed. Our elected officials failed to protect those who were vulnerable. And now America is obsessing over a list and names on the list. Big deal. And to take what you were saying a little further, you know, everyone in DC, the swamp, know each other. They have parties together. They marry one another. They go to one another's, children's baptisms, and they go to church together. And, as we saw with the Epstein case, they run in the same circles. This is their network. And unfortunately, we as Americans, we look at our politicians as celebrities. We treat them as celebrities, and they're like our version of the royal family in England. And so when we stop obsessing over regular people who are supposed to represent us and hold them accountable, perhaps this kind of stuff will stop. But this is, I mean, the garbage that goes on in DC happens just about everywhere. With all the scandals that come to light, it's human nature. But Americans need to focus on what's really important, holding their politicians, their elected officials, the people that they voted to represent them accountable. And they're putting the same people in office over and over and over again. People say, hey, I love my, congressperson, but I don't like what they're doing in Congress, but they keep electing the same people.
Well, yeah, that's the typical thing, David. It's I love my congressman. My congressman does great things, but I hate Congress itself. But every time you send your congressman up there, it doesn't matter what your congressman does or says. You're you he's your local he or she is your local celebrity. Like you said, we are a media driven society, and that is, once you have name recognition, once you have that star next to your name, once you have that, you know, if you can't pick up the phone and answer it every single call because you know every single person that calls you, then life has changed for you. You're now a household name. Listen, it's that simple. You're cream of wheat, or you're not your brand name, right?
Right.
You're Nestle's now. You're not just a chocolate bar that's sitting in the shelf on a local candy store where it actually tastes better because it was made locally.
I wish that we pay a little bit more attention to, hey, what's going to be in front of the Supreme Court in this current term for them, and some of the significant issues that they will be facing that could affect our daily lives. We're looking at the possibility of the administrative state being questioned and being dismantled here in America. But most Americans don't really know that, and don't know the significance of a lot of what the Supreme Court decision making is going to be. They're more worried about who is flying Justice Thomas and his wife Jenny to the next beautiful you know national park, or something like that.
The Yeah, if you everybody knows everybody in politics, like you said. And the funny thing is, we're going to get down to the key here is everybody knew what was going on, no matter what side you were on, because you knew, hey, I have this on Bill Clinton, right? He's got a relationship with Epstein. Epstein is X, Y, and Z. You have your book on him. He's that big a person. You have your book. You know who he is. You know what he's into. You know where his money's coming from, because people are telling you whether to take that money or not take that money. And if you're going to take that money, take it directly or indirectly. All of that is being said and done in Washington. There is not a single soul that didn't know that there's a dirty part to this individual that you needed to keep a specific distance. And that happens with everybody. No new person gets in without being vetted. And if you're vetted and you get past that and you have history and you get past that next step, it's because they know how to protect themselves from your dirty money. And that's simple. It's listen, you're not working for a campaign if there's the slightest little, dirt in your background that can't be explained quickly and give uh, the candidate uh, an out. Hey, there's no way you hired this person without knowing they stole a candy bar at 5 years old.
Mhm. I want to just echo what you just said about these folks knowing one another, and running in the same circles and so forth and so on. Yeah, this, I mean, it is what it is. This is the kind of shit that happens, in DC and Tallahassee and Springfield and other state capitals. It happens. Um,
Even Lincoln, Nebraska. Let's make it like so so
yeah,
urban.
you're
It's
right.
pathetic.
You're right. And so, you know, it happens. What I say is, what adults do behind closed doors, do what you do, be safe doing it. Let's keep the kids and the animals out of it. Let's protect the most vulnerable. As we saw, late last year, the scandal of, the sex happening in one of the committee conference rooms. And, it happens with social media. All this stuff is out there. Um, as Americans, I just plead that we just kind of get through the sensational stuff, and we and Americans live on this, but look past this and really get to what's really important, your kitchen table issues. And there's so much at stake, so many issues at stake, and so many of our future at stake in this particular election year that we look past the distractions like the Epstein list.
David, I just it's an interesting topic because it's the soap opera. I mean,
It's trash.
it's
It's trash.
it is.
Come on,
I
people.
listen.
We're better than this.
We should be better than this, but we're not. Like this is why people in around the world and they know, hey, the U.S. It's freedom is a playground, and that's where and they're going to come here and they're going to take advantage of our freedoms until we start locking down borders. We start doing the things we need to do. We start putting the right crimes, the right punishments with the right crimes. Um, we are a mess. We need to get in there. We need to really look at the laws and the legislation and the things that are moving so quickly. So we talk about these topics all the time. Like, what is AI doing? AI is all over the place. Now, the Supreme Court is mentioning how dangerous it is because it's affecting them now. So you can watch something and think it's 100% real. I just did I tried to create a test um, where I have images that are real and AI, and I put them, there's 10 of them, and I put them together. And the majority of the scores have been uh, low. Like trying to determine which ones are real and which ones are fake is very difficult. So now we have voices. We have
Yep.
we have crime where people are using uh, family members and putting them in situations that
Oh
they're
yeah.
not even in, and they're using voice. Like we're in jeopardy of being accessed to, with a podcast, right? Our voice is all over the place.
That's right.
We've probably said every word in the English language by now.
Or try to.
Well, you
The
know,
ones that I don't like destroy.
supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. I mean, now you got me on there.
Right.
Let's say the one where the alphabet one,
Right.
and then you'll have everything. But listen, it's a dangerous world when people do dangerous things, and our politicians are in those positions. They could stop this if they really truly want to.
And they're human just like you and I. And for my final word on this, I saw an article about um, Stephen Hawking as one of the visitors to Epstein Island, the world-renowned physicist, if I have that correct, scientist,
Yeah, well, we all know who he is.
genius, right? And you know, again, one man's filth is another another man's treasure, and I like my filth once in a while. But anyway, it talked about allegedly his interaction with some of the models who were there, or some of the female guests, and I'm like, you know, did we really need to sully his good name? And you know we're all human, and we all have our kinks and vices and all that stuff, but we shouldn't.
I think he
We
sullied
should
it.
put one.
I think he sullied his name when he was on The Big Bang Theory, so that's it.
I watched that show, turned it off, but as people, we need to move beyond the sensational and get back to uh, what really matters. And it's unfortunate that this is as big of a story as it is. In maybe a week or two, it's not going to be, but it's time to move on, folks. There's better things out there.
Yeah, there's a television station out there. If you have cable, it's called C-SPAN. Uh, if you actually watch it, you'll see that what's actually getting accomplished on your taxpayer dollars. Look, I'm going to give Scott Maxwell a big, you know, shake of the hand for an article he just wrote. It's going to be two parts. This is the stuff we should be talking about. Now, if you have been to the Amway Center and anybody knows what Amway is, um, congratulations. That was a topic for a later year, but now it's the Kia Center. So let's talk about your taxpayer dollars and how much money is being given to uh, let's talk about how much money just got given to the team with the naming rights and how much of your tax dollars didn't get reimbursed because 80% of that was purchased by you. So that building's purchased by you. They put a new name on it, get millions or billions of dollars. We don't know what it is, even though we have sunshine laws, your tax dollars. That's the thing you should be talking about. You should be talking about that at your kitchen table because it's like, how much do we invest as taxpayers into the Amway Center?
Corporate
Okay.
subsidies.
And then how much money have we decided to, lose out because we didn't put something in the contract to make sure that any naming rights went back to the taxpayers? That's my final word. Epstein is boring compared to the things that we should be talking to about. And Scott Maxwell, thank you for writing your article. If you do still subscribe to the Orlando Sentinel, you must be a Democrat. If you're a Republican, please read this article. It's good for you. Thank you.